It's a typical midwinter training session at Mount Smart Stadium. These young players have already put on a hard day at work or school, and now they're punishing their bodies in pursuit of a dream. They're members of the Vodafone Warriors National Youth Competition squad in the Toyota Cup, and they want to step up to a professional NRL career one day.
To be an under-20s player, it requires a lot of dedication and hard work. It probably looks a bit romantic to some people because the boys are travelling every second week. But the fact that they're working or studying full-time and coming in here 5 nights a week, and most of them are not on a lot of money, I think that's a big misconception that as soon as you make the under-20s you can stop doing everything else. It's basically an opportunity to try and make the NRL squad, and these boys are aware of it, and they don't come in with any expectations other than to work really hard and try and get an opportunity to play at a really high level. And the level of the 20s is great, and I think the boys have been surprised by the standard of it, and I think the NRL coaches have been surprised by it. Certainly a lot of players are graduating to the NRL ranks. That's only because they're doing as much hard work as the NRL players. They're biding their time and just working as hard as they can.
The whole way that the NYC, the under-20 competition, has been put together is education and welfare first. There's a lot of support mechanisms in place to help the young player, right from counselling right through to induction camps where they're learning how to respect females, learning about drug and alcohol awareness, the importance of education, and they're having some key figures in the NRL sort of tell them about it. Darren Lockyer was there at the induction camp last year, Gordon Tallis, Jason Stevens, all sort of people that have done really well in the game, placing a lot of importance on the other areas.
We get our boys in basically at 5:30. That allows the guys who are working 9 to 5 jobs to hurry along here and get here. But most of the time the boys aren't out of here till 8:30, 9 o'clock. And that's at least 4 nights a week. So there are some big expectations we put on them. Some of the nights aren't as hard as the others. We have massage and strength on just on one night, so the boys enjoy that. But most of the time we're on the field, rain, hail or snow. Because of the work situation or study situation, we can't train during the day. That does limit our time in terms of what we can throw at them in terms of our field work. So when we do have them here, we have to work them pretty hard.
The season started slowly for the young Vodafone Warriors, but recent performances have shown they're genuine finals contenders. That's encouraging for the club, as the whole competition is new territory.
I think it was going into the unknown for everybody, not just the Warriors club. I said very early on that we were always going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of this competition, is because we had a reason for the young players to stay in New Zealand. We don't have the structures or the same structures that the Australian clubs have. Right from a very early age, they've got a production line, whereas in New Zealand we don't have that strength of competition that actually develops good players. So the under-20s have certainly done that, and what we're finding now is that we must get 2 or 3 phone calls or emails every week about young New Zealanders who have gone to Australia wanting to come home and join the Warriors.
People have said that was going to be too big a burden for the team in terms of the travel, but I think at this age, because it's all new, it's fresh, they're enjoying it, it's a new competition, they get to travel with the NRL boys. At the start of the year they were a bit starstruck, but they've learnt to live with that. But the fact that they're staying in hotels and getting a nice meal and there's a nice bed and they can watch whatever they want on TV and is pretty nice for a 17, 18 and a 19-year-old, I suppose. The NRL boys, after they've done it for a few years, it begins to wear a bit thin, but at the moment the boys are still enjoying it.
Several players have already made the step up from the under-20s. Sonny Fai, Ben Matulino and Russell Packer have made first-grade appearances, and Patrick Arvan is still eligible to play in the competition.
When those young boys come back from playing a couple of NRL games, that experience, that maturity, those lessons that they learnt up there rubs off onto our boys who haven't quite made that step yet. So it's been great in terms of that development for our club, and I think a lot of our players have really matured a lot quicker than they would have if we didn't have the 20s comp. So we're now seeing kids who we probably we're looking at a 2 to 4 year plan, probably now a 1 to 2 year plan, because they're just having to push up to that level to keep up with everyone else.
NYC captain and pivot Daniel O'Regan is another squad member who is edging closer to first-grade selection. As the goal kicker, he has to fit extra training sessions around a tight schedule for the squad. He's also grateful to have the influence of Iro, Bell and former champion halfback Stacey Jones from the sidelines.
he doesn't say much, but when he does say something, it's something to listen to, and he's been there, done that, and if we can learn even a small thing off him, it will help our careers lots. Yeah, he's a very good mentor and someone that I've looked up to when I've been growing up, and I'm glad that I've got the chance to be training with him and learning stuff with him. There's a lot of it's technique, but most of it's just practice. You just got to put in the hours and just keep practicing over and over and over again, and then when you come into a game situation, it pays off.
The season is rapidly heading towards the business end, and confidence is growing the team is good enough to go to win the competition. But the clock is also ticking for senior members of the squad.
The next step, obviously, for about a third of our squad is to try and make the NRL team, because then they won't be available for our 20s next year. I've already telling our development squad, who are trying to push into our 20s, that pre-season training is only 15 weeks away, which isn't a lot. And that pre-season involves training all our conditioning sessions with the NRL team. So the boys are learning. They learn pretty quickly in early November what it takes and what sort of work effort's required to stay in the squads, which has been really good. And the NRL boys, they love it as well. They see these young guys trying to push them out of their spots, and the youthful, the enthusiasm sort of rubs off on those boys too. And I speak to Ruben. He loves seeing the new batch come in, because it's more of an inspiration for him to get his old bones up the hills and the sand dunes when we're training. It works well for both sides, and certainly our young guys appreciate working alongside basically their heroes.
It's great to give these guys a focus, give them something to aim for in life, and some of them are really sort of starting to realise that with the right commitment, with making sacrifices, they can really achieve great things.